The trial and execution of Socrates in Athens in 399 BCE puzzles historians. Why, in a society enjoying more freedom and democracy than any the world had ever seen, would a 7-year-old philosopher be put to death for what he was teaching? What could Socrates have said or done that prompted a jury of 500 Athenians to send him to his death? Before we learn about the trial, we must first learn about the Socrates' beliefs and the events that led Socrates to be in the position he was. Socrates' story as a great philosopher did not resonate with his lineage. Socrates was the son of an Athenian stonemason and sculptor and a midwife. Because he wasn't from a noble family, he probably received a basic Greek education. It wasn't until his later years that he devoted himself to philosophy. Socrates believed that philosophy should achieve practical results for the greater well-being of society. He attempted to establish an ethical system based on human reason rather than theological doctrine. He pointed out that human choice was motivated by the desire for happiness. Ultimate wisdom comes from knowing oneself. The more a person knows, the greater his or her ability to reason and make choices that will bring true happiness. Socrates believed that this translated into politics, with the best form of government being neither a tyranny nor a democracy. Instead, a government worked best when ruled by individuals who had the greatest ability, knowledge, and virtue, and possessed a complete understanding of themselves. These ideals that Socrates pushed ended up coming at an unfortunate time due to Athens, who was going through a dramatic transition after a humiliating defeat by Sparta in the Peloponnesian War. Athenians entered a period of instability and doubt about their identity and place in the world. As a result, they clung to past glories, notions of wealth, and a high emphasis on religion and the gods. It was Socrates' religious skepticism and his attack on these values that caused an equal number to grow angry, and he felt threatened their way of life and uncertain future. In the year 399 BC, 70 years after he was born, Socrates was brought before the Athenian court on charges of impiety and corrupting the city's youth. His belief that the gods must be good ran contrary to almost all Greek mythology, which is filled with jealous and self-serving deities, and the jury had little difficulty in finding him guilty. The second charge of corrupting the city's youth raised a dilemma. Should Socrates be held responsible for the actions of his pupils, particularly those among them who had joined the tyrants? Athenian law allowed a convicted citizen to propose an alternative punishment to the one who called for by the prosecution, and the jury would decide. Instead of proposing he be exiled, Socrates suggested he be honored by the city for his contribution to their enlightenment and be paid for his services. The jury was not swayed by Socrates' defense and convicted him by vote of 280 to 221. Possibly the defiant tone of his defense contributed to the verdict, and he made things worse during the deliberation over his punishment. The jury was not amused and sentenced him to death by drinking a mixture of poisoned hemlock. Before Socrates' execution, friends offered to bribe the guards and rescue him so he could flee into exile. Socrates declined this offer, stating he wasn't afraid of death. He felt he would be no better off in exile, and said he was still a loyal citizen of Athens. At the end of the day, although Socrates did challenge some of Athens' principles, he was still an Athenian at heart and wanted to die that way, so he drank the mixture of poisoned hemlock.